We won big this weekend. Let's recap the Bahrain Grand Prix. Okay. Mike, big weekend. $850 of profit. 3 for 3 on the bet slip. It didn't start out that well, though, with the hot picks. I had Lewis on pole. You had Red Bull 1-2 in qualifying.
Yeah.
I mean, just what a horrible pick to think that Checo was going to qualify well and get P2.
Like, you're just going to start off abrasively right now. You're going to
chirp. Calling a spade.
You're going to chirp my pick. You picked Lewis Hamilton on pole because what? In one practice session, they didn't look like shit?
Yeah, he led the representative session. So I took a flyer on him.
I see.
Everybody knew that the Red Bull was good, and everyone knew that Checo sucks at qualifying.
I shouldn't have sent you that text when we were going back and forth on our hot picks about, like, okay, why do I feel like your pick is acceptable? First of all, you put $50 on that, which is just like such a waste.
I do want to talk about that. I think we should change that. But anyways.
Okay, we can talk about that for sure. But it never seemed like it was going to be a possibility. And there's a reason why. Well, what did it come in at? Like, what did you take? Plus 650 or something stupid?
750, I think.
Yeah, like what a ridiculous. Just the number itself. It's a bad number. 650 looks stupid.
That's
and it made you
pick.
650. 750. Sorry, 650. I think 650 was
you
my
had
odds.
650.
Son of a bitch. No. Oh, I'm such an idiot.
750 looks amazing. We've hit a bunch of 750s.
Oh, that's true. Oh, now I feel so stupid. Oh, okay, fine. It doesn't matter.
They were
fine.
both bad picks.
650 and 750, both great numbers. The point is, yeah, like your pick was just dumb. Your pick was dumb.
Was yours.
Yeah. No, my pick had it. My pick had a chance. Like this is you get a little bit of bad wind for the Red Bull because of, I guess like it's aero map and how the ground force is how the downforce on the car is pretty evenly distributed. So like I don't think it was a representative qualifying in the session or qualifying session in the sense that you didn't have the same conditions as you did in the race, and the Red Bull looked amazing in the race. So if I was reading, literally Mark Hughes wrote a really great article today about just how the wind direction and the change impacted Red Bull's potential to actually be like 0. How like Leclerc had a faster, was it a Q2 lap than the pole lap, right? Yeah. So literally it would be possible theoretically for Verstappen to have set and Perez too, by virtue of just being literally in the same car as Verstappen, to have set a better lap if it weren't for wind direction. So that's like, I have no idea if that's accurate or not, but I'm going to just go with that because it vindicates me for taking Checo. There's still way more potential with this Red Bull and with this philosophy than there are, I think, for any of the other cars that are on track right now.
And there might be some weeks where it makes sense to look at Checo P2. But
yeah, this is one of them.
Always going to be P2 on the grid.
I don't think that's. Well, no, why? Why do you think that though? I'm just we like the fact we talked about this. One of the reasons that we like Checo in the race is that, I mean, I get it. He sucks at qualifying. Like, the guy, it is what it is. But it's still one of the tracks with like the heavy braking zones and the rear limitation that he, theoretically should feel more comfortable driving around, right? Is that not right? Like, so it's not sure. It's not a ridiculous bet.
We just know it's not going to be in qualifying. Did you look when you looked at that? Did you look at the Grand Prix one too?
What do you mean? Did I look at the Grand Prix?
You picked the 1-2 for qualifying.
Yeah. Did I look at the
same time? Did you look at Grand Prix 1-2 finish? Was that out?
I don't think I did.
They had that out.
Did they? I don't know if they had the straight. I don't know if they had the straight forecast. I'm not sure. No, I bet you. I guarantee you though. And I know what you're alluding to is that it probably would have been, plus 250 versus plus 650. Probably. It would have been.
Dude, it was probably minus 163.
Yeah, it could have been. It honestly could have been. Yeah, you're right. It's possible. Like, I mean, it could have been heavy short. Like not heavy short, but short. Actually, right in our window. Yeah. We love that minus 200 to plus 200 window.
I know. That's why I thought that line.
I know.
But you know what? We stayed within that window this weekend. I mean, let's talk about the slip.
Yeah, let's talk about the slip. I mean,
I think we had such a smart way to approach the weekend in that we didn't really pick teams against each other. We said, hey, a bunch of cars are going to finish and George won't be up there, basically.
Yeah.
Like Carlos to me was always going to happen. I don't know. He started ahead of those cars. He's in a faster car.
Yeah.
It's a great slip.
It did. Yeah. It seemed like we kind of talked about this over the weekend too, but especially like odds makers are going to have to adjust to or develop an understanding as to the pecking order the same way that the bettors are going to have to do that too. So there is the potential, if you're able to get on lines early, to real, and you can get a lot of value. You can extract a lot of value, because once the public starts to see those lines and they don't kind of fit with maybe some of the information that they're taking in or what they've seen on track, then things start to change quickly, right? We saw just in that movement, that up the live odds graphic that we put up before the race, was, I think it was like 30 minutes before the race. You saw some substantial movement, right? Well, for us, yeah, like, I mean, George moved outside of that sort of like the Goldilocks zone for us, like outside of the minus 200 to plus 200 range. I think it went to minus 225. It might have at the race. I think I can't remember. It might have been minus 250. Yeah, no, but I think later I checked right before the race and it was minus 250. So it lost another 25 points of value, theoretically.
I was so happy to have a bet that doesn't have George on the podium.
Yeah, I know. That's our bet. That's still our bet, though. That is still our bet. We love that bet.
I know. So the bet was, it's a combo podium. We took Max or George. I love how you explained it too. It's just Max or George or both of them to not be on the podium.
That's it.
And we loved George to not be there. Dude, he pit in, it was his second pit stop. He pit in lap 33.
Yeah.
And then his whole calm was, what's Leclerc doing? We got to cover off Leclerc. And in that moment, I was like, oh, boom. Like, we got this. George has no concern about what's going on ahead of him.
Yeah.
No concern about the podium. We're in.
Oh, I know. It seemed like it right away. Like, it was only misfortune that, and not that hasn't happened before. It seemed like at that point, yeah, you could tell. I mean, they were clearly dealing with the overheating issue. So, okay, this is Chaps. I think I got to give ourselves a pat on the back. I mean, you win. You win. You can pat yourselves on the back. But
sure.
I think like one of the best directions that we took in our conversation on Friday was, we love the Merc. Like, we think that this year they're going to finish ahead of Ferrari in the constructors.
Yeah.
But we acknowledge that there's a lot of new bodywork on this car. It's a new concept mechanically. I mean, things are not going to go, according to plan or as smoothly as they could go if they were, even bringing back the W14 concept, because you would just have more inherent knowledge about how things were going to work. Right.
The seat might not break.
That's it. It allows you. That's exactly it. It allows you to prepare. I think the cooling issue is just one of these things where, you've never run this concept on a track and in a race, in an actual full F1 race, and you come across something that's unexpected. And it's not like they're going to have this PU cooling problem for every race this year.
No,
right?
They'll figure it out.
Exactly. But it's just, that seems like that's kind of one of the things that's going to crop up when you make a major fundamental change to your philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of made sense. You're just like, why take the risk? I mean, a lot of people did that. I think maybe that's why we were more looking for fades in some way. I mean, I guess that's kind of part of the reason why we took Ferrari too. We like Sainz because they're bringing back still a concept that they're actually just continuing to refine and refine and refine.
Sure.
And our whole futures bet is, we think that there's going to be a ceiling that Ferrari is going to bump up against way sooner than Mercedes
over the
does.
course of the season.
That's exactly it. And we just literally, we might as well continue to follow that, our hypothesis throughout the season, right? There's going to be a point in which we look at that, George fade on the podium, and we go, no, I think George is going to be on the podium because,
sure,
right? Like, upgrades that maybe have been brought in recently by Mercedes, we think are going to make a difference. We think they're going to close that gap to Ferrari, but it doesn't exist right now, right?
I hope he sticks at P3 on the grid again next week.
I know, and I'll fade him again. I have no problem.
The reality is, when we were looking at the teams, like, I would have loved to take Ferrari. We knew Ferrari. Well, I wouldn't say we knew. We thought Ferrari was going to be better in the race.
Yeah.
The problem was they were minus 225 to be on the Ferrari side of that matchup. We found a really smart way to do it with Carlos Sainz.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be, I think that's just, again, an approach we've kind of baked into our concept right now, which is like, we have an idea. A lot of times we have a hypothesis about how we think the race is going to play out. Like, let's go find the prop that gives us the best value, and represents like that hypothesis, right? In a way. And if we can get sort of like I call them, I guess, the fade bets, right? Like, something not to happen, for the example being George not to get on the podium, like that. Those are the types of bets that I love to jump on, right? Because misfortune comes in. He can just, performance can derail his ability to get on the podium, and then misfortune can too, right? Whereas
he had both.
Yeah, well, I think he had both. You're right. Can you imagine being on Mercedes? Yeah, it would be hard to be on Mercedes in that race for anything, right? For Lewis to get into the top 6, for George to get on the podium, all of that would have been hard to watch knowing that he's got this problem, right? And we've been there.
Yeah.
Like that's happened to us a lot, right? Where you're watching a car and immediately, like 3 or 4 laps in, the driver's like, I've got a problem. And you're, fuck, are you kidding me? It's the worst feeling.
I was so happy we weren't on the combo podium with Leclerc.
No, I know.
Like we looked hard at Max, Leclerc, Checo.
I know.
Oh my God. Right 4 laps in. I'm like, oh, thank God we're not on Leclerc this week.
I know. Yeah, that's just luck, man.
Well, you just got to be on the better driver.
You do. Yeah, ultimately in the end.
And we found, so Carlos Sainz, the other bet, it was group 2 was what? Lewis, Alonso, and Lando.
Yeah.
And he started ahead. We had him to finish ahead. The guy sticks it on the podium.
Yeah.
Not only does he win the group, he goes and takes the podium from George.
Yeah, that was wicked.
Oh my God.
I know. That was exactly what we did. He's our guy. That's exactly what we needed him to do. Yeah. Just like on a conquest.
He's on a mission this year.
He's on a conquest. He's on a mission. I know.
And he's in a better car at least to start the year.
Yeah, well, and that's, I think there's going to be a heavy adjustment by the book on Ferrari, because now that they've seen that they don't have this DAG issue, which we talked about before the race, like it didn't seem like it was going to be a problem based on the data that came out of testing. So I think probably almost immediately odds makers are going to adjust, and you're going to see probably really short Ferrari lines, and we're going to have to find value elsewhere, right? I don't know what opportunity we're going to have to get on Ferrari.
It's going to be tough next weekend, because I still didn't learn a pecking order between, I guess you could say Aston's third, but really Mercedes, McLaren, and Aston. Like, do we know who's going to be the best out of those 3 in Saudi? It's going to be tough to find lines.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It will be tough.
Maybe that's why I was patting us on the back on how we approach this week.
Yeah,
we avoided picking between those teams.
Yeah, I don't know. That's true.
Except, I did throw out McLaren over Aston, and that was a pretty slam dunk.
That was a pretty slam dunk. I'll give you that. That's fine.
We didn't need that line on the slip. Like, we were fine without it. But
it was a minus.
It was like minus in the
150, 160 or something like that. Okay. Yeah, which would have been, again, it would have been in the Goldilocks zone for us, right? But I would have been. Listen, I'm happy that we landed on the over 17.5. There's just no way that we go into Jeddah and that line exists again. Like, for sure, that's a minus 200 or minus 225 line.
What, for the classification?
Yeah. Like
17 or more.
Over 17. Yeah. Over 17 and a half. I guarantee you that lives at minus 225 next week for sure. It probably opens at minus 225. I bet you.
Jeddah has walls in Sector 1.
Jeddah has walls. I know. Yeah. Oh, maybe we faded then. I don't know.
Let's see what the line is.
We'll have to. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah. I don't love the idea of being on that bet over and over again. I like the fact that there's reasons why we took that bet.
No, there's reasons. Yeah. I don't think it would make sense in Jeddah because of the walls.
No, exactly.
You made the point. There's so much runoff in Bahrain.
They talked about it on the broadcast. Yeah.
We saw a contact in turn 1.
Yeah.
We still had 20 cars. We saw, oh man, the emotional roller coaster when Logan pulls over, and I'm like,
oh
okay,
my God, I know.
Here we go. We're losing one. It's a Williams,
okay,
at least we can afford 2. That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah, both Williams can come out, sure.
Both can have the problem. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they just cut to, and Logan's going again.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, he did it. He's back in.
Yeah.
And then immediately they cut to Carlos overtakes Charles.
Yeah.
And then he's unleashed. Oh my. And then that same lap, the guy that we've just all been waiting to pit, and it's like, when is this tire whisper? Lap 13, Checo just comes into the pits.
Yeah.
Holy, what an emotional roller coaster that was.
Yeah. 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 It was. Man, like that whole Logan Sargent thing too, just like the craziest thing about that was he just stayed stationary for so long. And of course, like you and I are going back and forth. I'm like, oh, like obviously you think this is a mechanical problem. He's been stationary for so long. Yeah. It literally seemed like he just like turned the car off and forgot to turn it back on or something.
Well, how many times have we seen Logan just pull off? Like he has time to pull off into the right area, and then it's just, oh, he's out. Okay,
he's out. Yeah, and he's had a fair share of mechanical issues, but like I thought for sure that his car was just gonna like set on fire or something. I was waiting for it, and then he just drives back on track. Like, man, dude, he just sucks. There was nothing wrong. It was the best feeling. The whole time I'm like, oh my God, his car's going to explode. Oh no, his car's going to explode. And then he just started driving. I'm like, he's just bad. He's just bad at this. That's all it was.
You have to hit the pedal on the right.
No.
Oh yeah.
He was holding, he just had his foot on the brakes. That's all it was. He had his foot on the brakes the whole time, and he could have just been driving.
He seems like the kind of guy to me that just always has an excuse. Like every time something went wrong in the car you remember last year when he had the flu or something, and then they were on the comms and they were like, Logan, if you feel like shit, like you're the one that wants to race right now. No one's making you race. Like it's your call. And he kept being like, oh, I'm slow because I feel bad. I feel my tummy hurts. And they're like, you don't have, like, it's on you, bud.
Yeah, we're not
I
making
don't
you
know.
be in the car.
I think, yeah.
That isn't that just so American? Like that to me is just seems like very American. That he's just like, it's everybody else's fault but mine.
I mean, everyone likes to have a reason that it's not your fault, but
Yeah.
it just feels like every time with this guy.
I mean, the hardest part about being an F1 driver is just it's very difficult to like pass the blame along when it's just like, oh no, we're just looking at numbers on a screen, and
Yeah.
your numbers are just you have higher numbers, man. Like that's the problem.
The stopwatch don't lie.
The stopwatch don't lie, and he just sucks. Like I don't, man. How funny was it just all off season? People, craziest thing of all time, just people saying that he's got like a new training program and he's put on like 15 pounds of muscle or something. Like, I was the only person, I'm listening to that on podcasts and reading that in articles. And I'm like, am I the only person who think this is a stupid way to approach driving a car? How American is that? He's like, I sucked last year. I need to get into the weight room. It's F1. Like the last thing you want to do is put on muscle mass and be heavier, right?
He worked out with the Chiefs in the offseason.
Exactly. He just gets heavier and slower is what that's what I read that as. Okay, that's great.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way to do it, man. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I get he was like, oh, it was so hard on my body last year. I mean, yeah, like driving around with all the G's on just work out your neck like all the other guys do. They have massive necks.
Neck and ass. Just get your center of gravity low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And literally, like they just Lando and fucking Oscar, like they just the weirdest looking guys I've ever seen physiologically.
Just the biggest necks.
The biggest necks on the tiniest frames. Like it's so weird, right? They look like fucking like ketchup bottles. Like it's insane, right? It's nuts.
Do you think it's kind of weird? It's hit me recently. We don't see a lot of Logan Sargent. Like for being the only American driver and wanting to grow the game in the US, he's not like Williams puts Albon in everything. He's the one in the go-karting video. I mean, I get it. They were friends since kids, but you just think we would be seeing Logan in front of us all the time.
I think it's just an embarrassingly bad level of performance has just hindered their ability to market him. Like literally, is that not the issue though? Right? Is it not that he's just really bad and that's why they can't maybe show him they weren't going to show him. So let's be clear. They only showed him. The only screen time that he got in Bahrain was literally because he was parked like 90 meters from the fucking track.
And then when he got going.
Yeah. And then when he got going. And that was it. Like the guy I know he was a lap down the whole race. I mean, that might have just happened if he didn't drive off the track. I don't know. So I get why he didn't get a lot of screen time.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, sorry, I'm not saying screen time. I'm saying like even in the post interviews. You'll see an interview from Albon. I never see stuff from Logan Sargent.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because Alex Albon.
Are they hiding him?
No, he's just a treat to listen to.
Actually, he is.
How cool, man, Williams is like, Logan Sargent just doesn't fit in with that team because you just literally have James Vowles and Alex Albon. Like, imagine those guys just like reading you a book or something, right? They would be amazing if they just sat there and read a story to you.
Those two probably just sit there and talk wheel, and Logan's, I don't know, he's on TikTok or something.
They just talk wheel. That's right. They just sit around and they just sit down and talk wheel with each other. That would be great to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who interviewed him, but Albon's interviews are great.
Oh,
the way he described the difference when Max and he related it to the sensitivity.
I saw that.
Mouse.
Oh, it's like the coolest thing of all time.
I know. Like, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. But like I know that was literally like he created the perfect analogy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
And I play on like 20% sensitivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Max would have it cranked past 100.
Yeah, he's passed. He's on he's got numbers that you can't actually turn your sensitivity up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Any bets that we didn't take? I mean, Stroll. Okay, so Stroll still got it into the top 10.
Yeah. So what did you
everything
pitch?
Go wrong?
Yeah.
I pitched Stroll in the top 10. It was minus 138. Again, we didn't need these lines. We had a great slip.
No. I know. But we got this is part of the debrief. You got to talk about. I know. Right?
He took a rear end. It wasn't his fault. Hulk rear-ended him because he got a great start and got himself into the top 10 off the start. Drops to P20, still comes back and puts into the top 10.
Yeah, I think
like it was just a no. Just maybe where we find value moving forward for the next few weeks is there is a gap between top 5 and bottom 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Like, what do you make of Lance Stroll being able to do that?
We look for the next driver next week. If it's Piastri that has a bad Q2 or something.
Yeah.
And you and I we almost have a blind, maybe just for Saudi. It's just like those 5 teams are going to have both drivers in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
So who's not in there now that we can find value on?
Well, this is the hardest part about this is that.
No one else has a chance.
Nico Hulkenberg, like, I think his relative lap times were. I'd have to go back and look at some of the data, but if he doesn't end up pitting for the wing and all that stuff, like he might have been able. Past. I don't know if he had. I think he had the average lap time to be able to be in the top 10. Like I think he has Lance Stroll's. I have to go back and look because I thought I remember.
Yeah, but then Stroll.
I thought I read something like that.
Stroll doesn't get hurt either, and Stroll got him off the line.
True.
So those two don't hit each other.
Stroll's already ahead of him. Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, okay, so I go back. I agree with your point on, and it's odd to say given all of the hype around RB, which
I know they look disappointing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's. I mean, that could be a million different things. That's
just so many team orders thing.
Well, we talked about. We just said that we faded Mercedes because they came in with a new concept this year, and they have to. There's growing pains, right?
Sure.
Like that team has the most growing pains to go through, probably, right? Like I don't think they understand anything about the mechanical components of the car because they literally got them from a different. They got them from Red Bull.
A different, or
it's Becky's. Well, I'm just saying
isn't their office on Red Bull's campus?
Yeah, now it is. Yeah. I'm just saying there's growing pains there. They got a new, like theoretically now they have to start the year with Ricardo in the seat. I think the biggest thing is probably Mecky's. It's his first time, on the pit wall as a team boss, right? So. Like there's growing pains, right? And yeah, was the strategy thing stupid? Was that a mistake? And that seems like something that they can clean up. It seems like there's a bit of greenness that causes an issue like that to happen. Yeah, that probably will get taken care of.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long that gap between the 5th and the 6th fastest team on the grid lasts, right? Which looks like it's going to be Aston Martin versus RB at some point.
Yeah, right? Because Alpine has no chance.
No, Alpine is a mess. Haas is the weirdest team though. Like they're the hardest team to understand. Now
we just need more data from them.
Yeah, it'll be easy to like fade them soon when they start like completely getting demolished in the development race because that's going to happen relatively quickly, right?
Especially if Hulk keeps putting it in the top 10 in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna fall way behind like they always do. And then it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to regress like in race trim, but I think at some point even Hulk won't be able to pull a lap out of his ass like that and actually have it in the top 10, right? They're just going to fall so far behind from a development perspective that they won't even have the qualifying pace.
Yeah.
So, but I think that'll be that when that point comes, those qualifying times that those grid positions that they're starting with, that Hulk is starting with, you'll just see it deteriorate, you know what I mean? And you'll know, okay, well now they're losing out on the development race and there's just no coming back because they just don't operate like the other teams. It is what it is.
They might in a couple of years, but not right now. Not
on
a reset.
Not
historically.
Not when Gene Haas is like, we're not going to spend any more money.
True.
Like that was his whole point. Is that like Gunther's like, you have to spend more money in order to be better, and
that's what
Gene's
hear,
just like,
but no. how much money was misspent? Before Gene goes, I'm not giving
probably
you more money so you can go down the wrong road again.
No, I think it's fair. Like probably a lot of money was misspent. Like I'm not saying that.
If they came out, they were P4, and he's like, yeah, I'll spend money. Let's get to P1, and then they've just gone the wrong way for what 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
I'd be frustrated. I'd be like, all right, no more money.
Yeah, but you're right. They're obviously not spending the money effectively. But I guess my point is, I don't think you're going to expect under Komatsu that they're going to have this radical change in how they develop the car. Over
right
one,
away.
I know they have a new technical director or head of vehicle development or whatever it is, and I don't know. I mean, like they're all part of the same organization. And I think they're all the same guy. Like they're all just being promoted within the organization, so it's still the same guys that are there that have been responsible theoretically to some degree for just not developing the car well for 5 or 6 years. So
yeah, like what Gunther was the guy that was like, no, don't make it fast.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's out of our way now. Yeah, we're all good.
I don't know. Like it doesn't seem. I get that he wasn't. There's that scene in Drive to Survive where he's just like, they're talking in that development review meeting. They're talking in Maranello, and he's just like, it doesn't seem like he's He's like, just make it fast type of thing.
Yeah.
Which seems very on brand for him, right?
Yeah.
He's not an engineer. Like, I get that, right? But I don't know if that just means that now you've just got an engineer who's leading the team, and this is the same guy who's been theoretically just proposing all of these upgrades to begin with. So
I think they're just following. They're trying to be what Williams is. They're trying to do what Williams is doing. It's like, oh, they put an engineer.
Trying to do what Williams is doing. Well, yeah, but James is a bit. I wouldn't. Yeah, he's an engineer. That's fair. Okay, I guess that's true. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm just. Yeah, I think the problem. Williams has a different problem. Williams is just like in 1989. That's the issue with them. It seems like.
Well, they finally tried to put a screen on their wheel, and then it doesn't work. Like that's what breaks down.
Yeah, that's not interesting, eh? Yeah. Is that not just the greatest representation of a team that's stuck in the past?
I know,
right? Like the whole story of them just like organizing all of their parts development with an Excel spreadsheet is just like, yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. But then just comes out that they just try to put a screen on the wheel and they can't make it work.
and then that's what breaks. Yeah,
yeah. Like Mad Mike was putting screens and wheels on fucking what's that show? Pimp My Ride.
Pimp My Ride.
Yeah. Mad Mike was throwing in screens on wheels like in, I swear to God, when was that show? 1999?
Yeah.
Right? Mike, yeah. Mad Mike
early 2000s.
He was making screens work in cars. People were playing fucking Xbox on them. And these guys now, it's 2024, and they have like a $90 bazillion budget. And they can't make a screen. Like, that's the funniest thing of all time.
Well, they're trying. Hey, at least they're trying, Mike.
They're trying. Yeah, that's true. It's a new direction, right? Oh my God.
I think the only other bet that we pitched that won was the winning margin.
Right.
Maybe we keep this in mind. I mean, if it's plus money.
Yeah, but
until Max doesn't win by 10 seconds.
Chaps, it'll never be plus money again, though. What do you mean? It's not going to be plus money again. The guy
You think that was just because it was race one and everyone thought
100%. Oh, are you kidding me? Because of all the hype that existed around Ferrari potentially beating? No. They're not going to have to respect Checo.
What if Checo's P2?
He has to.
I bet we get plus money, and then we still might. I might take it still.
What do you mean? Sorry, say that again. What are you talking
about? On the grid?
About?
If Checo's P2 on the grid,
you think if Checo's P2 on the grid, that Max isn't going to smash him by literally 30 seconds?
I do. I think we might still get plus money.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Because they'd have to respect Checo in the same car right there.
Okay.
Well, I mean that's sixth this race.
Yeah, if bookmakers did that, then they'd be stupid. So I hope
that's why I brought it up. Let's keep that in mind.
Maybe they'll be stupid. Yeah,
because I think Max. I think he wins by. Well, it was only 18 seconds though, and Checo had to do all that work. But if I don't know.
But what do you think Max was doing though? I guess the question is what.
But does he care to win by 11 seconds instead of 9, or is 9 still going to be fine with him? He's not going to push to get our bet.
What? No, I think my point is, I get what you're saying. I mean, this is a race in which he wins without pushing at all. So I don't know. He might be pushing harder if Checo starts next to him. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Initially to build a gap.
Actually, what's going to happen? Fuck, I wish I remembered on the show.
What?
You might have actually taken this with me. Not that we needed it. They're going to move it to 12 seconds.
Oh yeah, wait, it was 10. You're right. He hadn't even moved to the 6-second intervals yet.
I know.
But it's going to be that next week. They'll be
it's going to be 6 to 12 and then over 12.
Yeah. Well, we'll never make that mistake again. That's what Bet 365 is thinking. What were we thinking?
That's definitely what they're going to do.
100%.
We had it at 10.
We had it at 10. We should have. That was, you got to bite.
Oh, no.
You got to bite on
plus
that.
money.
Yeah, no.
We've taken off the classified drivers. I loved having the classified drivers.
No, I did. I like that too. I like that bet.
Did you know?
Nothing.
Did you know that there was never a Bahrain without a DNF?
No, not until the racing started and you texted that to me. I was like, fuck.
I was like, okay, we got 2 then. We can have 2. That's fine.
Oh my God. That's a good feeling, eh? You're like, hey, by the way, this has never happened before. How many years? It's been like 10 years, more than that, maybe.
20, I think.
Oh yeah.
Did 10, say 20?
10 years. Yeah, it's been 20 years. It hasn't been 10 years. It's been 20. So 20 years of history. Baby.
No, but we didn't bet on none. We just said few.
No, it's true. We said few. Yeah. We didn't bet on none. We should. Man, actually, that was like plus 2,000, I think.
I know. Someone left that. Someone commented that.
Did they? Oh, good for them. Yeah, that would.
No, I'm happy we didn't only have one.
No, I agree too.
No, Stroll and Hulk could just be out.
Oh, I would have been having.
Even when Logan pulled over, I wasn't like panicking. You just said something about vibes. It was good vibes all race.
Oh, it was. Well, man, it's one of the few races where. I'm not going to say that because we've had a few of those races recently where you're just like, okay, right away looks good. Like it's turn 1, right? You get through turn 1 and you're like, okay, the guys that I bet on are still in the race. that's great. I'm happy with that, right?
Yeah. That was our biggest risk.
Yeah. I got to hold my breath every time. Literally from lights out to turn one, I just don't even breathe.
I know. Yeah.
My brain, they get usually like the whole pack is through like literally sector 2, and my body's just like, dude, what are you doing? Take a breath.
Yeah. Hey, breathe still.
Hey,
Yeah.
breathe, man. You gotta remember.
Oh,
yeah. If you don't breathe, you die. Yeah. What are you
Checo
doing?
didn't crash. Okay.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. Just the Mexican, us taking Checo, was it top 2?
We didn't.
In
No,
sorry, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously,
yeah.
in the Mexican Grand Prix.
Oh.
Us taking Checo, and this guy just literally catapulting himself into the fucking grandstands on
Mexican
turn 1
Grand Prix.
in the Mexican Grand Prix.
Didn't need to do that.
The most classic, better moment. Like it's just like only a feeling a sports bettor could possibly have, where you just immediately are like, why am I so fucking stupid that I would take how did I convince myself to be? That's really, I think, the thought that I had when he just drove over Leclerc's wheel. He was flying through the air, and I had already thought in my head, like, what kind of drugs did I take to end up in a situation where I was like, this guy, with how his year is gone and all the pressure that he's put on himself by being like, I'm going to win the championship, and then Max just like fucking literally strangling the life out of him.
Yeah.
Finally has one chance at redemption for his whole year, with just so much pressure on himself in his home race. And you're just like, you don't think this guy is going to, like, they should have put odds on Bet365 that he killed, like that he dies in the race because he races too hard. You know what I mean? They're like, will he survive? Will Checo? That should have been like the bet boost. Will Checo survive the Mexican Grand Prix? And I think, honestly, yes would have been plus money, and he did, which is great. We're happy that he's alive.
I'm still going to pitch him this year.
Yeah,
I'm going to pitch him for something. I don't know. I love him at home.
No, you're gonna pitch him at home. You're gonna,
that's what I mean in the Mexican Grand Prix.
You're gonna pitch him to not classify. That's what you're gonna pitch him to do. Imagine you were on that. Imagine we did that. Imagine we get to the Mexican Grand Prix this year. Maybe we have a good year. We're winning some money. We get to the Mexican Grand Prix and we're just like, Checo not to classify, and then he just crashes in turn 1 again.
Well, I mean, I would love it in the moment.
Yeah, it would make me feel. It would make me feel better about last year. That's what it would. It would just be. That's the only way to vindicate ourselves. We have to go
win money on the same thing.
We have to just like trust that the same thing's going to happen. I mean, if it starts playing out the same way here, it's not going to. But
no,
there's going to be no. Like we texted each other this too. Watching Max annihilate everybody in Bahrain, and then Checo very easily get P2. You feel pretty good about those futures bets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right? They look pretty good.
15
this guy's
plus wins, Checo P2. Yeah.
Like, there's just no way that Max doesn't win 20 races. And I guess, like,
he might win 24.
Yeah, I know. He could win 20. I what I hope is that they just do kind of what they did last year and they stop developing the car, and maybe he gets to 15 or 16 and then it becomes more interesting at that point when we've got that bet won. But it's just not, like, Checo's not going to, he's not even going to try to get him this year. Like, he's not.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't
set out last year. He sets out every year trying to win. But, like, it was a circumstance where, what happened to Max? He had to take a new engine early.
Yeah.
Max had a bunch of shit.
We had like a drive.
Him not winning races.
No. He had a drive.
And then it was like, Checo's right there. They both won 2 races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just only won 2 races. That's the greatest thing of all time. I remember that. I remember we were 4 races in and they had won 2 apiece. And I remember thinking, like, I've never seen a more false narrative. Poor guy. Like, that just existed in his head. Yeah. It was in his head. They were like, he was, I guess, like, to himself. I don't think anybody was like, hey man, you have a chance to win a 3rd race this year.
No, he's sitting there a month and a half into the season. Yeah. He's like, I'm tied.
And then Miami happened. Yeah. And then after Miami happened, that was,
But he's not going to have that this year.
No, he won't even get into that situation.
His whole thing is, can I be within the 10-second gap?
Yeah.
Can I make F1000 lose money on their winning margin?
That's exactly it. Like, he's just out there to ruin winning margin for us. And then when we are on him, crash out of the race.
Yeah, that's.
Come on, man.
He's got to keep himself busy. It's going to be a boring season.
Yeah. He's there. He's going into. That's what he's thinking this year. Instead of beating Max, he's like, there's these 2 idiots in Canada who just bet on every race, and I can't wait to fuck up every one of their bets that they put on me. Just gonna. That'll be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think that's the recap.
That's it.
All right, we're Saudis this weekend, right? Same thing. Saturday.
Same thing.
Podcast Friday. We'll be back.
Sweet.